Hi, everybody, and welcome back to yet another cracking edition of the Matt Brown Show. This is the Secrets of Fail series where we're talking to CEOs and entrepreneurs and founders all about their epic business blunders. And with us in the hot seat today is none other than the man, the legend, Kurt Wilkin. He is the founder of a company called HireBetter, HireBetter.com. If you're interested, Kurt, welcome to the show.
Hey, Matt, thanks so much for having me, man. Love what you're doing.
Yeah, man. Cool, buddy. So let's get into the elevator pitch. What exactly are you guys up to over there at HireBetter?
Yeah, you bet. HireBetter, we're the strategic talent partner for entrepreneurs who are trying to scale their businesses. And so we help them professionalize their team, help them navigate the team members that they've outgrown, all kinds of stuff. It's all about people.
So where does the rubber hit the road for you in terms of client profile? Is it kind of like a startup pre-rev? Obviously not, but are they doing like 1 million, 5 million? Like when does this problem become really acute?
Yeah, it's generally about 10 million to 50 million is where the sweet spot is, but they've started to outgrow members of their team. They know they need next level talent, but they don't know how to go about getting them. And honestly, most entrepreneurs think they can hire, and most of us can't.
Yeah, it's a huge problem. It's a huge problem. I got a lot of founders in my network, and they all say the same thing: talent, right? Because that's what it is, right? A business is just people working together to achieve a common goal, right?
Well, later we can talk about my book, Who's Your Mike, which is all about the talent you've outgrown and the struggles for entrepreneurs as they try to scale their businesses.
Awesome stuff. Cool, buddy. Well, let's get into the meat and the potatoes then. What is your epic story of fail for our audience around the world today?
Well, like most entrepreneurs, I've got a lot of stories of fail, but let me tell you the biggest one, and I'll give you a little bit of background. My previous business was called the Controller Group that I grew with a partner to about $20 million in about a 5-year period, professional services, very hard to do that. We did very well for ourselves, and my partner was phenomenal. When I bought HireBetter and evolved it, and so ultimately changed everything that we do, I did it on my own. I had a team. I had members of the team that were supporting me. I had somebody who I thought was my partner. At the end of the day, our partnership didn't go as well as the one I had with Brett. And my failure is not being able to recognize the challenges of trying to grow a business on your own for probably the first 5 years that I had HireBetter. We were growing rapidly, but we weren't profitable. And I had a lot of blind spots that I didn't recognize until later.
Mm-hmm. What were some of those blind spots, would you say?
You know, I'm a growth guy, and so as long as revenue is going up, I think we're being successful. But the reality is, cash is king, and if you're not profitable, you don't really have a great business. So the blind spot was really thinking more about the dollars on the top line than the dollars on the bottom line, and recognizing my own inability to manage it in that environment.
Yeah, for sure, man. And when you think about that whole experience, what do you now take forward with you into your business today?
What I think that I need, and honestly, I think most entrepreneurs need, is someone to balance them out and be their yin to their yang. I'm what you would call it a visionary. If you're in the EOS nomenclature, I need an integrator, somebody to run the business and make us manage the team and make us profitable. And what I've learned along the way is I absolutely need a partner who can balance me out. So I've got some strengths. I promise. I tell my wife all the time, I do have some strengths, I promise. But the reality is there's places that I'm not very strong, and I need a strong partner to complement me.
So Kurt, if you could get into the Matt Brown Show time machine and kind of go back to yourself and, do things differently now with the luxury of hindsight, what would you do differently and why?
Well, what I found out is the person who was partnering with me, she was actually really, really good at doing the things that I needed her to do, but I didn't listen to her, and she wasn't strong enough to push back. My previous partner at the Controller Group, Brett Lawson, he pushed back, and we kind of butted heads a lot, and we ultimately came out to the right answer because we trusted and respected each other, and we communicated. With Melinda, she would back down if I took a different stance, and I didn't really listen to her as hard as I should have, like I did with Brett. So the reality is I had the person there. We just didn't make a great partnership because of our own flaws.
Kurt, what's your advice to other CEOs or entrepreneurs today around the importance of failing or the process of failure and becoming successful in business?
Man, you're gonna fail. Everyone fails. If anybody tells you they don't fail, they're full of crap. And recognize that you're not alone. And the successful people in life aren't the ones who never fail. The successful people are the ones who never quit. They learn from those failures. And honestly, those failures are what makes you who you are. Those battle scars become, your trophies. That's really what makes you successful in the end.
Mm. Kurt, why do you think this association with failure, or the feelings that we get with failure, and the stigma attached with it is kind of like, well, what it is, right? So if you go to LinkedIn, for instance, and you scroll down, it's like everyone's winning. Why do you think people don't share their failures? You know what I mean? Because I think there's so much, like you said, where you don't grow, you don't become who you were meant to be, you don't build the business you aspire to build if you don't fail. So why is the narrative that failure is bad?
Well, I think it's because we live in this Instagram style lifestyle these days, and you've always got your best vacations and your best successes that you're highlighting for everyone to see. And so people don't want to highlight their failures. They don't want to admit that things aren't perfect. And the reality is none of us are perfect. None of us have it all going on. And as I said before, if we say we do, we're full of shit. So hopefully I can say that. But it's that Instagram lifestyle. And what I'm trying to do and what you're trying to do is highlight people who are willing to be vulnerable and authentic about their failures, so we can make it almost cool to admit when you've had failures, so that everyone else can learn from it and not have this stigma.
Mm. Kurt, you've got your own podcast. So in terms of books, tools, resources, and podcasts and what have you, what do you encourage or recommend?
Well, I would. I feel like my own Instagram person if I highlighted only my stuff. So let me start with other people's stuff first. I'm a big fan of the book from Mark Winters and Gino Wickman called Rocket Fuel. It's about this concept of the visionary who's very good, outwardly focused, and the integrator who basically runs the business. I think that's a great balance, and it really opened my eyes and allowed me to be who I was, or who I am. And then my book is called Who's Your Mike? It's the subtitle is called A New Bullshit Guide to the People You'll Meet on Your Entrepreneurial Journey. And it's all about the talent that you're going to come across and people you've outgrown on your team. Mike, for example, is your bookkeeper turned controller turned CFO. You've outgrown them. So now what do you do? And there's every different chapter is a different archetype or character like that. A lot of learnings and stories in there. And my podcast is called Unlocking Moves. It's got a lot of failure in it as well. And I'm a big proponent that every one of us has some key pivotal moment or decision point that really changed the trajectory of our career or maybe our life. And I like to highlight those in other people so we can see them when the opportunity arises for ourselves.
Amazing stuff. Kurt, congrats, buddy, on all the work that you're doing. Totally see a need for what you do as a team in that. And and congrats on your show. Great congrats on your book. You're doing a lot of things right, and here's to more failure. Awesome.
It's hard to say that, but it's absolutely true. Failure is it's what makes us who we are.
It
Thanks,
is
Matt.
All right, buddy. Everybody else, we'll see you again soon. Ciao for now.